They're beautiful, aren't they?
There's a picture
Majestic.
for everyone.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Thank you for staying and listening to my speech.
Looks like a good swallow me.
Okay, hi everyone. This is my final speech in my Speech and Communications Class 151, Persuasion Speech. I'm going to be talking about why the manta ray viewing sites, the traffic the manta ray viewing sites should be limited. So manta rays, they're very large. They're kind of cousins of sharks in the shark family. They're just visually majestic, very gentle, and they're attracted to plankton that rises up from the ocean, and they eat at night, and they feed on the plankton at the surface of the ocean. But they're very attracted to the plankton in artificial light as well. So there's two major sites in Kona that are very, very popular for manta ray viewing, the Makako Bay and Keoho Bay. So what they do is boats, you can go out in boats or kayaks or snorkeling or scuba diving and set out lights, which attracts the manta rays to feed. And then a popular way for scuba divers is they collect at the bottom of the ocean in a circle and do what's called a campfire method, and they all shine their lights together, which attracts the manta rays to their specific area. So in my own experience, when I took these pictures, my first experience was about 16 years ago, and I snorkeled out with some friends from Keoho Bay, and there were about 4 boats, maybe 30 people tops out there enjoying the manta ray display. And then I went back a couple months ago, and there were about 20 boats out there, and at least 200 people. You've got kayaks, you've got boats, you've got snorkelers from shore, and divers and SUPs, and it's very chaotic. So it's not only dangerous for the manta rays, but it's dangerous for people too. So it's widely advertised in Kona, and it's actually world-renowned, the diving specifically with manta rays in Kona. And it's a top-rated activity, and the consistency of the manta ray viewing and the easy access in the relatively calm ocean makes it those factors for its popularity. But in recent years, as I said, it has become hugely popular, and I believe there are far too many people in the water and too many vessels operating at the same time for it to be a sustainable activity. And right now, at this point, there's no regulations. Now, boats have to get their own permits just to be tour operators, but there's no regulations specifically with the manta ray viewing. So it's kind of a free-for-all. So at any given time, there can be anywhere from 5 to 30 boats out there. There's about 42 tour operating boats on Kona side. Now, a lot of them don't do the manta ray diving, but at least 30 of them do. And there have been some studies, some research studies by the DLNR and the Marine Science Consulting, where they've actually had people stationed outside the sites watching what's going on. And there's been a lot of documentation of potential dangerous situations for the manta rays and humans. It's just chaotic, and so they've been doing studies in how to try to limit. So as you can see, this is just one section of a viewing site. So this, I don't believe, it's not safe and it's not sustainable. So on a given night, you can have almost 400 people. They've documented almost 400 people with maybe very few manta rays. And another problem with this is that the divers affect the ocean floor. So outside of Keoho Bay specifically, all the coral around there is is broken and it's dead from, divers being set down on the bottom, and they put extra weight on them so they stay at the bottom so they won't come up and hit the manta rays, but it kills the coral. And there's a lot of inexperienced people out there as well. And a part of the DLNR study shows that on one or more occasions divers have surfaced, and there's also been an occasion where a tourist got onto the wrong boat and was taken back to shore, and there was some confusion as to, where is this person, because the original boat couldn't find their guest. So that's another situation there. So, and it's just getting busier. So I interviewed Kendra Wilson. She's a captain for one of the Zodiacs that goes to the manta ray sites, and she actually did a dive. She's been watching it, and in a way, the manta ray tours are the most lucrative tours in the boating industry. It's a very short trip, but it makes companies a lot of money. But she went diving recently and saw manta rays that looked like this, with sores on their faces and their bodies, most likely from hitting boats as they're feeding, which can happen. And I also interviewed marine biologist and dive instructor Mark Hughes, and he's watched the change over many, many years, the influx of boats and tourists doing this activity, and he understands that there's an attempt to implement regulations, but nothing has happened yet. And he also has been observing the destruction of the corals around the sites. So there's just some details on what can happen. You have all throughout the night various people coming in and out of the water, and at the Keoho site specifically, you cannot anchor. So you have boats in idle or in transit, while there's 300 people in the water. So it's a very unsafe situation for everyone. And both Kendra Wilson and Mark Hughes, the marine biologist, state that it's inevitable, as well as the documentation by the DLNR, all stated it is inevitable that there will be accidents. It's just in the numbers. So just some details of, possible things that could happen. And boat strikes, which haven't happened yet, but it's unregulated and it's increasingly worrying. And this has actually happened in Bora Bora, where the population of manta rays left the area because of the tourist industry. So also these regulations are being attempted, and some things won't work and some things would possibly could work. But possible solutions are restricting live boating during the manta ray viewing, unless it's an emergency situation. So that would require all boats to not be idle. The boats would have to be cut off the engines. There's daisy chains where there's only 4 moorings out there at Keoho Bay, and so boats kind of moor onto other boats, which really isn't safe. And it puts pressure on the moorings, and if there's any sort of swell, that's a really dangerous situation. So implementing a prohibition on that would probably be a good thing. Subsurface level lighting, where all these boats point lights to get the manta rays to come to them. It's not really a safe practice. And then requiring kayaks, SUPs, and individual snorkelers from shore to have lights so that the boats can see where they are. And then additional moorings possibly for the amount of boats. Limit commercial permits for shore-based manta ray activities, and decrease diver capacity. Permits or mooring fees. Implementing fines for the proximity of the manta ray, getting close to the manta rays, and prohibit scuba diving at Keoho Bay because of the coral situation. So basically, I'm not trying to spread fear or deter people from this amazing experience, but it's We need to spread awareness for the growing problem and the potential for danger to help us establish regulations to protect the manta rays as well as people as well as ocean goers. And also, it's up to potential clients to choose responsible, reputable, and respectful companies when deciding what tour operator to use, and to take responsibility and respect the distance and to not disturb the animals. So that's all.
Thank you, Mackenzie. That's great. Great pictures. Thank you. You'll do well. It'll be a good presentation. All right, thanks, folks. Have a lovely weekend.